take your popcorn, turn off the lights, and prepare yourself for a tale that will send chills down your spine. Tonight, we're diving into the heart of one of America's most chilling and unsolved mysteries, the Villisca Axe Murder House. What happened on that fateful night in 1912, and why does the terror still haunt these walls, even after over a century? Stay with us. If you dare, the clock strikes midnight on the night of June 9th, 1912, and the small town of Villisca, Iowa, is silent. Eerily so, the people of this close-knit community have no idea that the quiet, peaceful town is about to be forever scarred by an unthinkable horror, one that will go unsolved and remain a dark mystery to this very day. In the Moore family's home on 2nd Avenue, the night air is thick with the oppressive stillness of an ordinary evening. But within the house, inside the walls that echo with the laughter and warmth of family life, something sinister is about to unfold. The Moore family, parents Josiah and Sarah, their 4 children, and 2 visiting children, Lena and Ina Stillinger, had gone to bed as usual that evening, but their sleep would not be peaceful. It would be shattered. At some point during the night, an unknown figure, someone whose face we will never see, crept through the shadows of their home, armed with an axe. The murderer moved silently from room to room. The stillness of the night was broken only by the dull thud of the axe as it cut through flesh and bone. The silence that followed the carnage was deafening. No screams were heard, no cries for help, just the brutal, cold work of death, carried out by a shadow in the night. The next morning, the town of Villisca woke to a nightmare. The bodies of the Moore family, along with the 2 little girls, were found lying where they had been struck down. They were butchered in their sleep, their bodies left contorted in unnatural positions, the faces frozen in terror. The house was soaked in blood. There was no escape, no way to run, no way to plead for mercy. The doors and windows were locked from the inside, and nothing was stolen. The horror of the crime would forever haunt the town streets, echoing in the whispers of every resident for generations to come. But what followed was even more disturbing than the brutality itself. Despite an exhaustive investigation, the killer was never found. No clues, no suspects, no answers. Just an unsolved mystery that left a gaping hole in the fabric of the town's history. Over the years, many theories have surfaced. Was it a drifter passing through? A jealous lover? Or someone closer to the family? Someone who knew their routines well enough to strike with terrifying precision? The questions lingered for decades. And as if the horrors of that night weren't enough, the house itself began to reveal something even darker, something that has drawn people to it for over a century. Today, the Villisca Axe Murder House stands, abandoned but not forgotten. The ghosts of the past linger within its walls. Some say the spirits of the Moore family still haunt the house, trapped by the violent, untimely deaths they suffered. Others claim the presence of something far more sinister, something darker that was unleashed that night. Those who dare step inside the house today claim they can feel it, the oppressive weight of something watching, something that is always there, waiting for the moment to strike again. The atmosphere in the house is thick with dread, as if every inch of it is soaked in the blood of its victims. Visitors have reported the unsettling sensation of being followed, of hearing soft whispers in the empty rooms, or feeling a cold breath on the back of their necks when no one is there. Some say they've seen figures in the windows, pale, translucent shapes that flicker and disappear the moment you turn to look. There's something chilling about the way the house has stood the test of time. The furniture may be long gone, the walls may be cracked and crumbling, but the darkness, the terror, is as alive as ever. Some have reported hearing the sound of footsteps, slow and deliberate, moving across the creaking floors as if someone were pacing the halls. Others have heard the unmistakable sound of an axe being swung, softly at first, then harder and faster, the echo reverberating through the empty rooms until it fades into the silence. And then there's the heavy air, so thick with sorrow and rage that it almost feels as if it could suffocate you. It's in the way the rooms feel colder than the outside air, even in the dead heat of summer. It's in the way the shadows seem to stretch unnaturally long, as though they are hiding something just out of sight. The house is full of life, ghostly life. The spirits that remain have stories to tell. But are you brave enough to hear them? Perhaps the most unsettling experience is when you stand in the children's room, where the Stillinger sisters were brutally murdered. Some visitors claim they've felt the presence of the two girls, as if they were still there, caught between the living world and the afterlife. Their soft giggles, now twisted by the tragedy of their deaths, can still be heard, echoing faintly through the halls. Others report feeling the presence of Josiah Moore, the father, whose tragic death left his family vulnerable to the dark forces at play. He is said to be one of the most prominent spirits in the house, still lingering and watching, even after all these years. Some say his footsteps can be heard pacing the halls at night, endlessly searching for answers. The question that lingers, more unsettling than any shadow on the walls, is this: why hasn't the house been able to rest? Why, after more than a century, does it continue to call out to the living? What dark energy lingers within the walls, drawing people in with its promises of supernatural encounters and untold horrors? The answer, it seems, is that some tragedies never truly end. Some spirits cannot or will not move on. They are bound to the place where their lives were stolen, left to relive their final moments over and over again, locked forever in the grip of the darkness that began that fateful night. The Villisca Axe Murder House is more than just a relic of a grisly past. It is a gateway to the supernatural, a place where the veil between the living and the dead is thinner than anywhere else. So if you ever find yourself in Villisca, Iowa, do not be fooled by the quiet exterior. There is a malevolent force lurking in the shadows. It will watch you, it will wait, and when the night comes, when the wind howls through the cracks in the walls, you will know the true terror that resides within. The curse of the Villisca Axe Murder House is not just a tale. It is a warning to stay away, or risk becoming part of the story yourself. If you made it through that, you're braver than most. But remember, some mysteries are better left unsolved, and some spirits never truly rest. Don't forget to subscribe, because the darkness is never far away. Join us again on Hauntscape, where the unexplained always finds its way to the surface. Stay curious, and stay haunted.